This is my third time with you, so thanks for having me and welcome me. I've really gotten to know you over the last year, and I want to welcome everyone online and at home. Thank you for, this is the fall developer update for Taylor Morrison and the Esplanade Lakewood Ranch community. Tonight we're going to share some updates on land, construction, sales, and just an overall HOA transition timeline. Housekeeping notes, obviously the restrooms are out to the door on the right, as many of you know. If you have questions, which by showing up tonight in this room means you told me you have a question, so thanks for coming. We'll hold those to the end, and we'll come up to the front by the mic, and that way you can share your questions so we can all hear, and then we'll go from there. So one thing I want to mention as we kind of come to the community being fully built out and sold out, I just want to highlight, and on behalf of all of Taylor Morrison, I want to thank each and every one of you for selecting Taylor Morrison, for choosing to live in the community, and just overall your support for the last few years as we've kind of started on this journey together. So special thank you. I think it's important as we kind of get to the end of the community, just to highlight you make the community special. And having worked with you over the last year, I can tell that is truly indicative. We can build a good home or a good infrastructure, but if it doesn't, you make the community what it is. So thank you for that. So tonight we're going to do developer items. We have, just a side note, we have an HOA board meeting for the budget in November on the 11th. So any HOA related questions we'll hold for that night. And then any developer questions, we'll certainly be here. If you have something that's specific to your home, that's individualized, we'll be here afterwards, and we can take those individually after the meeting. With that, I want to do some introductions. I've got Mr. John Wallard. He's our land project manager. Many of you have seen him before. We've got Blake Murphy, our area construction manager. And we've got Mr. Chuck Dana, the one, the only, here for support. And then Bruce is filling in for Ken from Pope to take notes and just capture the questions so we can do a recap Q&A from tonight and send that out afterwards. So, as I mentioned, land development, construction, we'll talk about the Culinary Center, sales update, and then the HOA transition schedule, and then we'll do the open forum. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to John.
Good evening. How is everybody? How is everybody? There we go. All right, good. Slides, please. Okay, so everybody loves pictures, right? Why not start off with a picture of the amenity campus? This is the most recent picture that we have. It's from June, so it's a little out of date, but of the culinary building that's finished. So just wanted to kind of showcase the amenity campus. How many people have been to the Culinary Center? Nice. Everybody enjoyed it? So I was lucky enough to be one of the guinea pigs to go and was just blown away at how good it was. The drinks and the food and aesthetics, everything was amazing. Hats off to the TM team that was involved in it. Nathan, home building guys even got involved and coming and telling us all of our mistakes. The Pope team for getting us started up, so it was really a combined effort. This is a picture of, off to the right is White Eagle, and then the road kind of running on the left would be 44th. So this is really kind of one of the last areas, I would say, still under construction. What is that, Terrazza, Blake? And so I would imagine if this picture was in June, you guys are probably pretty close to being finished in that area. But again, just a nice aerial of the overall community and golf course. This is a picture of White Eagle again on the left and Rangeland kind of cutting through. The last phase of development was here. I wish I had a pointer or something, but kind of down towards the bottom right where that loop is. That's Messina Loop. Again, from back in June, you can see they have a couple condo buildings. I'm sure Blake's going to touch base on timeframes for construction in that area. Okay, so land development updates. We're done. all phases of construction are finally done in terms of land development. So you won't see us out there doing any more earthwork. We're not going to be digging lakes and putting in storm drainage or any other utilities. That portion of it is over. If you notice, I didn't say roads. We have some roads that need some work. Most of you have probably seen it or have heard of it. We have some asphalt problems, and we have plans to come back and fix that asphalt. We're hoping to have our permit by next Friday, which is October 18th. The following Monday will be a pre-construction meeting with the contractor that we've selected. And then once we've met with them and understand their timeframes and logistics, we'll send out an announcement to all the residents to notify everybody of what's to come and what the timelines for completion will be. Next item is bond requirements and releases. This may be a little too much information, but just so you guys kind of know from a developer standpoint what we're required to do, that we have public performance bonds. These are put in place prior to construction at 130% of the improvement cost to cover public infrastructure such as water and sewer. So, for instance, if we have $100,000 that it costs us to put in water, we put a bond out there for $130,000 to complete that. These bonds are released at site certification. So going back to the previous note of being done with all phases, we've got everything certified. We don't have any more public performance bonds out there, but it's something that we do along the way. Next item is private performance bond. These are put in place prior to certifications at 130% of the improvement cost to cover private infrastructure such as final lift of asphalt. So this one we do still have private performance bonds out there for, because there are areas where we still need to put in the final lift of asphalt. And so that'll kind of roll out as well before we've recently done some on Cabreo and Benito. So for those of you that live in those areas, you kind of got to see what that experience was. We'll communicate that with the residents. And other streets like Sorrento and I think the rest of Benito has final lift. Messina Loop will have a final lift. So there's a handful, maybe 4 or 5 bonds out there for final lift that we need to finish up. Last item is public defect bonds. These are put in place prior to certifications at 10% of the improvement cost to cover any defects or failures. This is kind of more or less a warranty that we give to the county for public bonds, public improvements. And these are released 3 years after acceptance. Last item is hole 15 berm area. So this is just another item on the list that we're going to tackle. If you guys have golfed and you've been to hole 15, you've seen kind of the washouts that we're having on the cart path. We've attempted to repair with curbs before. We're going to go back in and regrade that area, put in new sod, put in new under drains, and take care of the problem once and for all. It says scheduled to be complete 12/1. Realistically, the goal is to finish that the weekend before Thanksgiving. That way we're not back there working during the holidays. This is a rendering of Messina Loop that Blake may or may not use, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him so he can take over. Where's that? Messina Loop.
No, Thank you, John.
Good one.
So, just like John, we don't have a ton left to do, right? We've started all the single-family homes. Condos, we have 6 under construction. We have 5 on this street. We're getting ready to start a 6th soon on Messina Loop. And then we have another one on Sorrento. Where obviously, we have that one going. That's the last building on Sorrento to be built out there. So I believe we've got about 35 single-family homes under construction right now, and about 15 or 14 of those to be sold still. The rest are sold. And the condos, we will probably be wrapped up, I'll say, the end of next year. Obviously, that's based on sales, but we're planning on going ahead and starting those buildings and keeping that cadence going that we have right now to keep everybody rolling. So sometime in 2020 is when we'll be wrapping up. The construction entrance on White Eagle, it'll close once Sorrento Way is complete, which will be sometime by the middle of next year, I would say. And then the construction entrance on Rangeland won't be till the end of next year when we finish up all the condos on Messina Loop. I wish I had a lot more updates for you, but that's about it. We're wrapping up next year, and we'll be out of there. So, There are some folks in here that I've met with, Mr. Biller and some other folks, about some drainage behind some homes that we are working on getting fixed. They washed out in the swales going out to the lakes. So we are supposed to be starting that work this week, and then hopefully have it wrapped up by the end of October is the plan right now. So for some of you that live on the lakes. Yes, sir. Sorry. So we have some washouts on a couple of different areas where the swales wash out into the lakes, and we're working through getting those fixed, and we're supposed to start those this week and hopefully have them done by the end of October. Thank you.
Culinary Center, as many of you have been there, we're looking and evaluating the acoustics in there. We've had, I believe, 2 tests performed to acknowledge the existing, and then it's going to come up. We're going to have a recommendation based on how to soften some of the areas around the bar. The market is also going to have some artwork and some things to soften in there. So more to be done there, but it's hopefully, again, before Thanksgiving, that would be wrapped up before season goes in full swing. We're pouring a pad just to the right of the building that will be used for a storage unit, a heavy-duty, hurricane-proof storage unit, and that'll be so that the team can use for tables, chairs, decorations, things that they'll need to get in and out of. Those are the 2 main items. From a culinary center, we still are looking at just the overall flow and experience and whatnot with the team as they get, and really Pope is driving that from a feedback with the food and beverage group. So overall, excited. Thank you for your support, your patience, and look forward to having a great grand opening party there on October 26th. No one signed up in this room. There's only like a few of you that signed up. So it'll be a great event. Thank you for coming. We look to have a great night, and then obviously you'll have many more to come in there. Private golf parking. We had the area right next to the golf shop that was finished earlier this summer. There was a few spaces right in front of the Culinary Center, and then we just finished the area to the left of the Culinary Center. I believe that's going to be striped in the coming week, I believe, Ryan. Thank you. So that'll be able to start the parking there very soon. Sales. Currently, 1,093 current units closed. That was at the end of September. That means we have 157 left to close. 54 of those are under contract, 24 being single family and 33 condos. So as Blake mentioned, we have 14 single family left to sell and 89 condos left to sell, and that would be all 1,250 fully built out. I would anticipate, as Blake said, the construction and the sales, if just going on, again, dart throwing, a little bit of forecasting, we think all of construction year end next year, which would mean condos are closed and hopefully sold. They're sold and then hopefully and closed, obviously, and then the 14 single family. So we're very close, and just want to thank construction team for getting us to the end, and hopefully if you have a few more friends that want to move in. So we've been talking about 90% of closed homes, and 90% would be 1,125. I'm going to get to the actual math of that, but I want to talk through, we sent out a communication on the HOA transition and the board transition. Whenever that happens, we go from deficit funding to then paying a 1/20th assessment on the remaining lots. So when we're doing the budget for next year, we're putting in that assessment that the developer pays in each month based on the remaining homes that are left to close. So it's a revenue there that hasn't been there before. The date of January 1st, we anticipate 1,011 or 1,111 at the end of October, November. And so we picked January 1st. We kind of worked with the transition group. We tried to find a date that was clean from an end of year, from an auditor standpoint. And so we kind of January 1st is not a date that you would typically pick because it's a holiday, but it's the start of a new year. So that's why we have the election that's going to happen for the new board on December 10th with an effective date of January 1st. So hopefully that gives everyone time to prepare, plan, we can have a good election, and then the effective date would be January, and the new year would start. The HOA turnover, we would get 90 days after that, and that would allow the 2019 audit of the financials and the turnover audit to all be done in one process. So hopefully we'll get it back a little faster with that in mind. And that's the rationale behind going a little sooner. We're gonna that date is a little sooner than what we thought. Maybe even 5-6 months ago, but based on the dates and the way it fell, it just made a lot of sense to do it. I also think it allows a new HOA board to get a head start and not wait until April when things are already starting to, your season's in full swing, so you can have a quicker review of policy. You can make us, ramp up time. They're certainly part of that. And then any overall guidance, it's a kind of a baton handover. So, I just got the first draft of the new board election today, and we're going to be sending that out. Ryan and his team will be sending that out in the coming week. It's going to outline the process. It'll give you how many board positions, 3 for club, 3 for golf, and 1 at large. It'll have the proxy. It will have just some more information on what that process looks like. So start to think if you're interested. Obviously, you've probably already been doing that for those who might want to consider serving. It's a huge contribution and commitment, and I know having been a part of this with those in the community that already serve, we're just grateful, and hopefully I know you'll have a good group. Oasis Church, we're going to be back here for that election on the 6th, or at 6 p.m. on the 10th. The new thing it's going to be, we're going to implement the electronic voting in an attempt to expedite the voting and the process of the election. As you remember, in April, it took a little time, and that was for 1 position. So imagine a few more. It will take a lot of effort, and we hope to expedite that so you can get home before midnight. Don't have any more overall arching. I know we are working with the transition group on some key items, key areas. A couple were mentioned tonight. We've got a follow-up meeting next week on some of the other areas that we've discussed. We're finalizing the budget from an HOA standpoint. So a lot is happening to set up the community for next year. And I think, by the budget meeting on HOA, for the HOA budget meeting on November 11th, we'll have a good plan for the next year, and certainly the input from the finance group, transition group, everything is, we're almost there. So thank you to those individuals for your support. And I think at this point we want to open it up to questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. If you have one, please come up to the microphone so that anyone who's not here or is here can hear the question, and then we'll do our best to answer.
Okay. First of all, thanks for the update. I've got a couple of questions, and it may involve multiple people here, but Blake, for you, the first one. Did you guys complete the engineering look? You talked about the work on Sorrento and hole 15, and I got kind of confused there. Are you saying the hole 15 or the Sorrento work is going to start this week?
No, not hole 15. Use your mic. Sorry. Not hole. It'll come on.
Can you hear me?
Not hole 15. That's something I think that Nathan was working on with some other folks. I was talking about just the right behind the houses.
Okay, so the geomesh order is in, or you haven't confirmed that yet?
I'm waiting on pricing on that right now.
Okay.
So the plan is to start that next week.
All right.
after we do some stuff across the lake on the the driving range lake.
Okay, but the plan still is to use the geomesh to finish the work?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And just to clarify on hole 15, we're going to be running pipe along. I want to go to each homeowner that's in that area just to kind of talk through the plan. But the idea is that the drainage on the yard drains above on the top will be tied in and connected to the catch basin out closer to the fairway, away from the behind the green. And then we're looking at regrading and sodding, and then having a little building a little swale on the top, a little mini berm up there so that it catches it so it doesn't keep going down.
okay. Just a question, you mentioned that the White Eagle Gate looks like it's going to be open till mid-2020, potentially. I'm going to request, are you planning any second asphalt lifts on Bonito and Sorrento before then?
There's none planned to date, but I would say yes. If you're saying the gate's going to be open mid-2020, yeah, we'd probably, typically we time it after home building goes through there and the concrete trucks and the trusses and everybody's
Right.
kind of done their, damage. So with how quickly they're moving and the progress we've seen, I would say yes, that would be open, or we would do the final lift. And then, the gate would probably close after that.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, I would suggest not doing any final asphalt lifts on Bonito and Sorrento until you close that gate. I live on Bonito, and every day I know these trucks are probably supposed to be using the Rangeland Gate, but they're coming in the White Eagle Gate, coming down Sorrento, and buzzing past my house going to Messina Loop. So unless you're going to stop that, I'm going to request that you don't do any more asphalt lifts until that stops.
I think that's a fair request and a good point. So again, typically when home building finishes in that area, Sorrento and Terrazza, that's when we would go and we would do that final lift. And at that point, there's no need for construction access there anyway. So I think we could kind of appease your request and close the gate.
Okay, that's all I got. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I just have a simple question about the electronic voting on December 10th. How is that going to work? Are there going to be voting booths here, or is it going to be online, or what is that going to
So
look like?
great question. So the software company is going to be here to help administer and facilitate it. They will be probably in the lobby, I would imagine. And we need to, there's a process we're going to have to go through to have you authorize electronic voting. Like everyone who wants to participate in that would do a simple sign-off, I believe, prior to doing the vote, just to have on file. The idea is that, you come into the lobby, there would be areas, I don't think the team has actually confirmed exactly the layout or the setup, but they're going to be here on site, certainly to help administer that. Having not done it, we need their support to execute that.
Okay, so it'll be here, as opposed to,
Yeah,
you're not doing it from your phone.
Yeah,
or
I'm sorry. I think I
computer,
may have
it's gonna be
misunderstood.
here.
I think there's a process where you get a pen or something. We're going to send that out in detail. So more to come, but I just want to highlight the concept tonight.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We received an email today saying that the third quarter sod and plant replacement was complete, and that going forward, it would be the homeowner's responsibility. There was reference in the email that says that it's per the supplements. Could you please tell me which part of the supplement so I can take a look at it?
We can send that out in our wrap-up Q&A in the declaration. It says that it's part of the program. It doesn't have specifics of like how many times or what types of replacements. It just says that there will be done or there could be done by the board or by the budget in the HOA. So I can send that out in that way.
So since it's a could be done or may be done, how much do you spend per year on it, and how will that impact our budget for next year?
It's fluctuated based on the maturity of the area and just situational water quality and whatnot. We're reviewing that with the finance group to establish some parameters and just a best forecast of what the budget would be. So
So you don't know what it cost in the past?
it's ranged anywhere from 75 to 200,000.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
based on the current process.
There was mention of road repairs. I want to know, is Castello on that list?
Yes, it is.
And when will those repairs be finished?
So we have the anticipation to receive the permit is next Friday, the 18th. We'll have a pre-construction meeting on the following Monday, which is the 21st, with our contractor. And once we've gone through the entire plan and scope, we'll have a better understanding of kind of their strategy in terms of where they want to store material and where they want to start. And we'll send out that construction commencement notice to all residents who will be affected.
Super, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I knew there's a couple more.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Will we have an opportunity to meet the candidates who will be running for the December 10th election?
Yes, so we're going to do I shouldn't say, we're going to send out those interested and who've submitted their information prior to. It doesn't mean that someone else could still jump in and want to run after that. But let's just say 2 weeks out, we would send out the everyone who submitted their interest and their resume and their profile. The night of, there'll be probably a forum to at least have everyone introduce themselves and say a word or two, just so you can get an idea of who if you don't know someone.
So it'll be different than the last election where we had to vote before we got here, right?
Yes, yes. And there'll be a communication in advance of those who submitted information, resume, profile, etc. Okay, good questions. We have, Steve, do you want to say a word or two? I think you asked for an update. I only told him I'd give him like 45 minutes. So.
You know, I have a better face for radio because we're on TV here. How's everybody? Good. You know, a lot of you would say that we're close to a destination, but we're really not. We're really just beginning our journey for self-rule. So this is important. We're going to be doing a lot of things in the next couple of weeks to months in regards to getting prepared. I want you all to know and feel comfortable that lots of people, and I counted almost 100 people, either past or present, liaisons or compliance folks that are residents of this community, has been working very hard to learn and to gain knowledge and experience on how to run, or at least advise how to run this community. And I think you should feel pretty good about that. Those of you who are liaisons, prior liaisons, compliance folks, would you stand so I can at least acknowledge you, the ones that are here? Thank you. It's a lot of work, and I could say to a person, they do it because they love this place, because all of us love this place and we're having a great time, have a great culture here. We want to continue this. So what I want to talk about now a little bit is about what's going to happen in regards to more communication from your operational transition group and those groups who are having meetings to give you more information on what's going on. Right now, from here until the time we take over, I really encourage all of you to look into the Esplanade LWR website, go to the members section, look at the financials, read our notes. And it's very important. The more you learn and understand, the better we can be going forward to make the best decisions for the community. And I know we will be making, or globally, we'll be making changes in some areas because we're transitioning from a developer and to a resident community. Now, there's a lot of times that our interests intersect. There's some times that it doesn't. So where it doesn't, we're going to fill into where we think best to run the community and make it really good for all of us. So first I wanted to mention is that there's been a couple of meetings already. Jeffrey Clark with the golf group has had a meeting in September for the golf members. Krish Raju has already had one meeting in regards to financial updates. We're going to do another one, but I'll talk about that next. Our next meeting will be the infrastructure group. Dick Billard and his team, fantastic, has been all over this community to identify every asset that we have, every condition of the assets that we have. And I think it's real important that if you have time, that will be Monday at the Activity Center at 14th of October at 5 o'clock to 6:30. So they've done a lot of work about assets around this community, and I'm sure you'd want to attend, and I really encourage you to do that. Back to Mr. Krish. Third quarter financial review will be Wednesday, October 23rd from 5 to 6:30 at the AC as well. I'm sure he has a great slideshow. I think Dick's got a slideshow coming up, but it's real important you understand. So we're trying to build more knowledge to everyone in the community as we get to the position to take over, and those of you who will be on the board will have a lot more consultants around the community who've been working very hard over these past years. Lifestyle, we'll have a meeting on Tuesday, November the 12th at 6:30 at the AC, so please attend that as well. They have some exciting ideas about going forward to get more community-minded activities for all of us, for our residents. Wellness and Fitness, we'll have a meeting on Thursday, November 21st at 5 o'clock to 6:30 at the AC. And Landscape will have theirs on December 4th from 5 to 6:30. So those are all of the groups that are working for you. We want to have one more opportunity to give you information about their part of their community so you have a really good understanding of how our community works and where we're going. After that, there's an election on December 10th. As far as the election, the only thing I would like to say is that I hope we have a ton of great qualified people, because we have great qualified people that live here. You can see the ones that are on committees or give advice. Everyone here has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and those who have the passion to serve, I think it would be great to have a lot of folks that are going to be candidates. One thing I think from my perspective that I'd like to share with you is that we've talked to homeowner associations, property managers, lawyers, because we're getting ready to do all the due diligence for all those vendors, and we're in the process of doing that now. Any of our processes in regards to any vendors has to go to the board. So for what we're doing is developing all the information and just giving recommendations to the board. The new board could do one of three things. They could accept a recommendation for a certain vendor. They could say, no, we would like to get more people involved, so they modify it somewhat. Or three, they could just say, we're starting over and we'll do it ourselves. But we think that it's our obligation, since we've been working so long with this, is that we owe the community at least to get that part of the recommendations for various vendors out to the new board, whoever that is. But getting back to the election, what the people that we've talked to said is that the first year of a new board from a developer is the most intense in time. So for those of you who are interested, and hope there's a lot that want to serve, understand that it could be sometimes 30 to 40 hours a month. And now it'll go down once things settle, but remember, there's a lot of things going to happen when we take over, a lot of decisions you have to make, and there's a lot of information you're trying to glean, and so it's going to take a lot of time. So as long as you're committed to the time, I thought it's my responsibility just to explain to you that type of time commitment. In the second year, third year is going to be a lot less because it's more stable. But in the first year, it's going to be probably that type of time frame I'm talking about. So with that, I think I'm done unless you have a question. Well, thank you. Wait,
Sorry, what is going to happen to all these liaison advisory boards once we have an official HOA?
it's very nice, Usher. That's a very intelligent question. What happens is that when the board is elected, the board will then decide of all of the different groups, which group or what type of group should be a committee of the board. For instance, I'll just make it up. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but you would think that the finance group will become the finance committee. So when you have committees, there's a more formality. The groups will still remain. Those who are not going to be assigned to be in a committee, they're still groups, and they function just like they do today. Now, they may want to make a proposal to the board as for some reason. Obviously, all they have to do is say, I have an agenda item, and they can come up and make a proposal when we have board meetings, or when they have board meetings. So that's how would that work. Anybody else? It's going to be a blast. It's going to be good. Got a lot of things going. Hopefully, it's going to go smoothly. We'll see. But you could rest assured that the people that are working for you as resident advisors are here for your best interest, and we represent all the residents, and that's all I care about. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. It would be remiss, having worked in resorts and with teams for 15 years, I want to take one moment and just highlight the staff that serves you, from the servers to the grounds team to every part of the community. This is going to be different for them, and I want you to just keep that in mind as they work and try to serve the community as they've been doing. Just acknowledge that, and I want you to thank them, and they're working their butts off. I want to highlight Ryan and his team just for your support and your just commitment. I know you care a lot about this community. I know you care about the residents. Can't always get everything right, but I know you have such a dedication to this community. So thank you to all of you for just, again, your support, and we look forward to working together over the next 90 to 180 to however many days it takes to have a great, successful transition. So thank you. Good night. Good night to everyone. Appreciate your time.